Yo, 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 yo. What is going on, y'all? It's me coming back again with another rare live stream vid. As you guys know, I'm not going to sugarcoat this, guys. I have other things occupy my life right now, so YouTube is not really a great importance for me. But what I've decided to do is that if I'm going to invest more time into, going to content and podcasting, I'm going to have to invest a little bit more time than usual. I know I've been saying that for a long while now, but unfortunately there have been other distractions involved. But I'm gonna do the best I can to make sure that those distractions don't get involved in my work as a potential, just providing my own opinion and facts. Well, in other words, I don't make up facts. What I mean is provide facts along with the opinion like everyone else here does on YouTube. And we'll take it from there and be objective like I always have. So, now you might hear a little bit of noise in the background because there's a movie playing, obviously. So if you do hear any background, just disregard. Audio's a little choppy, maybe because I'm on my headset. Let me try to adjust it a little bit. All right. How about now? Is it still choppy? Is it cool? Hey, what up, Marla? How you doing, man? How's my audio? Give me a thumbs up if everything's cool. Give me a thumbs down if it's not cool. I'm not in the chat. Not on the video, but I mean on the in the chat. Just let me know my A-OK on my audio. Okay. All right, cool. Thanks, guys, brother. Thanks. So there's a lot of things we're going to have to cover. Of course, I've already covered this on several live hangouts and streams. And EJ's one of them. Shout out to EJ Boxing. Bias is one of them. Shout out to Bias, Bias Boxing Talk as well, and Hamed's, and thanks, Mala, and other people's streams. I will say this though. Now, Unbiased and Mala will know that I'm a big Deontay Wilder fan. I'm a fan of the guy. All right, I like the way he fights. I like the way he brings excitement to the ring, especially with American heavyweight, the heavyweight scene. Regardless of what we say about him, the ridicule that he gets, of some of it is warranted. He's an exciting fighter. We love to watch him fight. We all agree on that. But when it comes to criticisms, most of the stuff is warranted. And let me tell you why. Because as I've always said, is that, no man can walk above water. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Deontay Wilder. I don't care if you're Anthony Joshua. I don't care if you're Floyd Mayweather. I don't care if you're Andre Ward. I don't care if you're Oscar De La Hoya. I don't care if you're Sugar Ray Leonard. I don't care if you're Ezra Charles. The list goes on. Muhammad Ali and so forth. Harry Grant. Let me just say this. The thing is that every fighter is going to be subjected to criticism. All right. And Deontay is not immune to that. And let me say this, because what up, Percy? I'm good, brother. I'm good. So let me just say this. He took a terrible beating against Tyson Fury. I've already covered that day or 2 days after the fight on my last live streams. We already covered it. He took an ass whooping, okay? Now, there has been some controversy that's been drawn up after the fight, which is the aftermath, as you want to call it, okay? Now, one of those controversies is Wilder is coming up with all these 1,000,001 excuses how he lost the fight, all right, which really pissed me off as a fan. Now, I'm going to keep it real with you, okay? He's my guy. But at the same time, that doesn't mean he's not subjected to criticism by me or anyone else, like Blood Boxing. Shout out to Blood, by the way, okay? Because he touched upon this as well. Now, Deontay, after the fight, came up with excuses. He did say he led off the post-fight interview in the ring, saying, "Hey, you know what? Tyson Fury was a better man. He won. No excuses, but I had some problems in training camp. This, that, and the third." And then this is where I shook my head, and I'm like, "Oh my God, why did you do that, Deontay? I mean, Jesus fucking Christ! Now you have problems with your training camp, then you have problems with your leg, and then all of a sudden, when you gave an interview 2 days after the fight with Yahoo Sports, I believe, or LA Times, I believe, with Lance Pugmire, you come out saying that that 40-pound costume that you walked into the ring was hindering that hindered your performance against Fury. All right, so I swear to God, man, it just seems like guys see Deontay Wilder has a bully mentality. All right, now is he a bully in heart? No, he's not. No, he's not. Deontay is a nice guy. I could tell. All right. Of course, I believe that sometimes he puts up these act as being the villain because he knows. And some people call Deontay Wilder a dumb guy. In actuality, he's a pretty smart guy, but he's not a good orator. But the fact is, he knows that being the villain is going to bring in fans. It's going to create controversy, yes, amongst your profile, but it's going to bring in fans, and it's going to draw them into your fights, and they're going to want to pay to see you lose. And I think that's how he somewhat drummed up his profile, and that's how he's able to get people to despise him. Now, the fact is this, though. I didn't like the shit that he came out with the whole costume situation, okay? Because later, after he came up with the costume excuse, it turns out later that there was an interview that surfaced with Joe Rogan, by the way, that he trains in 40 pounds of gear leading up to a fight, okay? So that really contradicted himself, and that really made him look fucking stupid, okay? The fact is that when you lose a fight and you take an ass whooping thoroughly, you got to take it as a man. Let it be. With all the excuses that you have, you got to keep that behind a closed door. You have to. You cannot publicize that. And another thing, too, that Blood brought up, and some other people brought this up as well, is that Deontay Wilder surrounds himself with too many yes men, all right? Leading up to that Wilder fight, to the Fury fight, he was unprepared for the onslaught that Fury is going to bring to him. Whether we all believe that Fury was bluffing or not, when he did attend to come in a lot heavier than he usually does, and the fact is that he was going to maul Deontay Wilder. Deontay and his team should have been prepared for that. And as Mala said in the chat, is that he relies too much on his right hand in that long reach, because he was hoping that, okay, I'll give up some rounds, but if Fury comes in, if he comes mauling at me, then I'm going to catch him. And that didn't turn out to be the way. That didn't turn out to be the case, all right? Because I've always said this too, is that the way he fought Ortiz in the rematch, I didn't like the way he fought Ortiz. I was not really impressed by that performance, because you could argue that he lost all those rounds in that fight. To me, he probably lost. To me, he won maybe two of those. He won two of those 4 rounds going into that 7th round, in my view. But I didn't like the way he fought in that fight, because he just sat there and let Ortiz tee off on him and not throw any punches until he hoped he could catch him with the right. Nah, man, I didn't like that at all. And I said to myself, and I said to others that do, you can't rely on that too much, because Deontay needs to go back to the fundamentals that he once had. Look at the Duhaupas fight. Look at the Stavern fight, where he learned how to box. He utilized his jab. He set up his right by using the jab in that fight. Yes, styles make fights, but those are the fundamentals that you should be using against every opponent, okay? In the Duhaupas fight, he fought a very good inside game against Duhaupas, but all of a sudden he abandoned that fundamentals. Why? Because he got so used to his reach. He got so used to his power from the outside. He's gotten away with it in many fights. But it gets to a point in some time that you can't rely on one skill set. You got to use a multiplicity of skills. Ask Andre Ward. Ask Floyd Mayweather. All right? Ask many great fighters. Sugar Ray Leonard. All those guys who've used a multiplicity of skills. When use adjustments when a certain skill that they're so used to winning fights with don't go their way in the fight. Okay, so not to beat up on Deontay, but this is tough love, man. He's got to hear it, man. If Mark Breland's not telling him this, then somebody should tell him this. Look, man, you're fucking up out there. All right, you lost that fight because you told you. I'm sure this is what Mark Breland is discussing with him right now. Now you see what happened. If you had listened to me, you would have won that fight. Maybe you won the fight. I don't know, but you would have fought a much better fight than you did in that fight against Fury. You would have. If you utilize your fucking jab, be prepared for the onslaught when Fury comes in and trying to maul you inside, okay? Focus on the body more. Do not rely on that right hand. The power will come later. You got to wear your opponent down. Attack his body. You got to give him angles. I know Fury's a different opponent, but that at least gives him a better shot at winning the fight more so than he did in the rematch. But the fact is, you have to listen to your trainer. Listen to your trainer. Mark Breland is no slouch. This is a man who is regarded one of the greatest amateurs of all time. All right. This is a man who was a 2-time welterweight champion. Okay. This man knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. All right. So my thought is that, to me, I know some people are not going to like this. Yes, I said Fury was going to win the fight. That was an unpopular decision by some of the people who didn't like the fact that even though I'm a Deontay that I've said this, I was hoping I was going to be wrong in my prediction. But the one thing I would say, though, is that I didn't expect Fury to maul him the way he did. And I didn't expect him to give him the beatdown the way he did. All right. Now, can Deontay redeem himself in the trilogy fight in the rubber match? Yes, he can. I'm not sure he can win the rematch. I'm being honest with you. But if he goes back to the fundamental in the training camp, which should start, by the way, this month. So once they go into training camp, they can work on those fundamentals. And what they need to do is stay off of social media. All right. Stay off social media while you're in training camp. Plain and simple. Take the Anthony Joshua route. Okay. Hold on for a second, guys. Sorry, guys. My wife and I were chatting a little bit. But yeah, so anyways, you need to go back to the training camp. You need to focus on the fundamentals. Bring in a second opinion you have to. I heard George Foreman willing to offer some advice. Fair enough. Bring George Foreman into the training camp. That's fine. Hell, bring in freaking Lennox Lewis if you have to. I prefer that. But, of course, I think that'd be a conflict of interest because Lennox is a commentator for the BBC on Fox. So maybe that'd be a conflict of interest. I don't know. It could be, it could be not, because I've heard Dan Goose is going to be offered to be a co-trainer. I don't know. I'm not that Dan Goose. I'm sorry. His brother. Damn, I forgot. Was it Jeff Goose? I think that's his first name. But the Goosen trainer. But anyhow, yeah. So here's the one thing I gotta say too. Another thing I want to say is that much shit that Anthony Joshua get from some of us, including myself. The one thing you have to respect is the fact that when he took the loss against Andy Ruiz, he took it as a man. He didn't make it excuses. He didn't make any immediate excuses after that fight. But leading up to that rematch, going into the training camp, he was coming up with excuses why he lost that first fight, and that's something I didn't appreciate. But I will say this though, it was not severe as Deontay Wilder's excuses that he's bringing into the Ruiz rematch. I mean, not bringing in, that. I'm sorry. It's not severe as the excuses that Wilder is bringing into going into the Fury third fight, as Fury's as AJ going into his fight with Ruiz. So that's the difference between the two. Now, another thing I wanted to point out too is that is Deontay Wilder mentally prepared for the third fight? That's yet to be seen. We don't know. He has brought out a couple or three subliminal messages saying that he's ready now. He's back in the mental place. He'll be ready to go by July. Go for it. And I will say this, though, is that I'm not sure he's going to be mentally the same fighter again. Maybe he'll be a complete different fighter where he's going to go back to his fundamentals that he abandoned after the Duhaupas fight. So, yeah, what's up, BG London? I'm good, man. The classic metal. He said the thing is that it wasn't just Fury who laid out his game plan in the open. Sugar Hill did the same thing. In the interviews, for example, with Fight Hype, Sugar Hill said the same things that Fury said. Yeah, that's true. They laid out the game plan. They executed it perfectly. Well, I'm going to say almost perfectly, but I mean, there is some controversy behind that. I'll address right now. And yeah, my hat's off to him. But we'll go from there. But let me just say this, though. Mala says, yeah, Dan, Wilder hasn't worked the body in either fight. Yeah, that's the thing, though. He relied too much on he's a headhunter. He relies too much on the head, man. The basic fundamentals in boxing, man. And I'm going to tell you this. When a trainer always tells you this is that the head shots will come later after you target the body. If you target the body, you work the body, you wear your opponent down, you're going to slow them down, and then they'll become stationary. They'll become neutralized where they can't really move their they don't have no fluidity when it comes to their foot movement. So yeah, BG says that, yeah, I think Wilder needs adjustments and add to his unorthodox style. Yeah, he of course, he definitely needs the adjustments. He needs to go back to the fundamentals that he once had. And and many people don't believe this. Believe it or not, Deontay Wilder does have fundamental boxing skills, but he just didn't show that in later after the Duhaupas fight, which is almost 5 years ago now. So he just abandoned those fundamentals, and that's what pissed me off about it. What's up, Amir? Salute, brother. Yeah, so and that's the thing. I think that kind of pissed off Mark Breland to an extent over some time, because it's like, dude, you're not listening, man. You're not gonna get away with this shit forever, man, because there's gonna be a different crop of opponents that you can't take lightly. And I have a feeling that he took Fury, didn't take Fury seriously in the rematch. Let's be real, and that's what was the and that would you know, play to his downfall in that fight. So that's just my opinion on it. What's up, Mr. Boxer, today, man? Yeah, so I just think that yeah, we need to talk about this first. Yeah. We're definitely chopping it up. But so I just hope he's mentally strong, but I don't know if he is going to be mentally the same. That's yet to be seen. But hey, guess what? We said the same thing about AJ going into the Ruiz rematch, because we all consistently said by consensus that we didn't think he was going to be ready for the Ruiz rematch. We thought it'd be wise for him to take a tune-up before he gets into the rematch with Ruiz. But mental, you know, AJ, all credit to him. He stayed off social media while he was training. He took his you know, discipline more seriously now, because he was so more concerned about his body looking physique, his bodybuilding physique, more so than boxing. And then when he lost, he realized that this is actually a very serious game here. You can't take every opponent lightly, even though they're a last-minute replacement, like Carlos Takam, for example, okay? So maybe AJ looked at Ruiz as Carlos Takam. I don't know. But this is not about AJ. I get that. But my point is that you cannot take your opponents lightly at all. I don't care if you're Andy Ruiz. Certainly don't care if you're Tyson Fury, all right? So Deontay, this is a lesson he needed. And I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to back down what I just said on previous live streams. He needed this loss to humble him. He needed this loss because he needs to, for the first time in his life, realize that this is a rude awakening. This is a wake-up call. You got to take this seriously. I know you're 34 years old, going on 35, but as many people, I've argued with many people, longevity with heavyweights are much longer than the lower weight classes. That is a fact. Okay, Deontay Wilder still got plenty of fights left to him. All right, he just need to go back to his fundamentals. That's all he's got to do. Don't give up the right hand. I'm not saying don't give that up, but you could set that up like you did in the Severn fight. Set that up like you did in the Molina fight. Set it up like you did against Duhaupas. Okay, so yeah, small adjustments can be done in 33 months. Yeah, I mean, AJ proved it in 6 months. But 3 months, I don't know. Maybe it's possible. I don't know. I was perplexed to see that when Wilder was pressed backwards, he was taking steps. I mean, he wasn't shuffling. His feet were crossing each other. Yeah, and that's another thing about Deontay. Deontay didn't always have the greatest balance. He doesn't have the greatest balance, but at the same time, he makes up with that with his athleticism. And the thing is, classic medals that his athleticism was non-existent in that rematch. So you wonder what the hell was going on in that fight. So what happened to Deontay? And no excuses again. It's just the fact is that he came unprepared in that fight. He needs to blame himself why he lost that fight. No, not other factors or someone like he tried to throw people under the bus in his camp why he lost that fight. So yeah, let me see. BG says his first performance would have been suited in the second fight. Yeah, we all agree that Wilder performed much better in the first fight than he did in the second fight. One, because he was much lighter. Number two, he was a lot more athletic. And three, he had better reflexes in that fight. All right. So yeah, he performed a lot better in that fight. And of course, he was too heavy, a little bit heavier going into. Well, actually, it was a bit too heavy going into the second fight, and that paid to be a little bit detrimental for him. Mr. Boxer today says that I think Wilder is who he is at the core, which naturally is a fearless and competent opponent. He'll win, lose, or draw in the matter, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, man. I do. But sometimes when you lose a fight the way you did, especially in the fashion that you lost the fight, you need a wake-up call. You have to go back to fundamentals. You got to realize that boxing's not a game. This is something that you have to take very seriously. You cannot view every single opponent like your peer. You cannot view your current opponent as your previous opponent. What I mean by that is that, yes, you got away with, giving up so many rounds and knocking out guys like you did with Ortiz, like you did with Gerald Washington, like you did with who else I could talk about he gave up rounds with. I think those are the only guys he kind of gave up rounds with. Those are only two guys. But you cannot view Tyson Fury that way. This is a guy you cannot give up rounds against. You got to beat him up early. I'm not saying waste your shots early. You have to fight him in spurts, break him down early, like Tyson did Terrell Biggs. Break him down, fight in spurts, pick your shots wisely, and then when he's worn down, you can take him out. That's what you have to do. So yeah. Amir, hold on. Yeah, I'm gonna be live for probably another about an hour or so. So probably another 2 hours. I'll see how long I'm gonna be, man. But I'll probably be on here for a minute, bro. Spilka, yeah, you know what? You're right, Mr. Box today. Yeah, Spilka, he gave up rounds in that fight too. So yeah, you just cannot fight you can't fight your current opponent as you did your previous opponents the same way. You can't do that. And I'm sure that's what Mike Breland was telling him. And Deontay just didn't listen. He surrounds himself with too many yes men, and this is something he needs to do. He needs to kind of eliminate these yes men in the training camp. He needs somebody in there who needs to tell him that he's fucking up. He needs somebody that needs to tell him that what he's doing right. Actually, I said that incorrectly. He needs someone that needs to tell him what he's doing right, and he needs someone that needs to tell him what he's doing wrong. In other words, someone needs to tell him that he's fucking up. He needs that. Anthony Joshua has that with Robert McCracken. Yes, people criticize Robert McCracken and his training methods, but the one thing you could appreciate about Robert McCracken is that Robert McCracken is not a yes man. He's going to tell you how it is. That's how he is. He's going to tell you that you're fucking up. He's going to tell you that you're doing good. For example, when Anthony Joshua knocked out Vladimir Klitschko, people praised Joshua for that performance, right? Many people did. But there was one person who didn't praise him for that performance. That was Robert McCracken. Robert McCracken came in there and told him, straight up said, look, son, I didn't like that performance. That performance was terrible. That's what Robert McCracken told AJ. He told straight up, I didn't like that performance. You're too upright. You didn't show no head movement at all. You didn't make those adjustments in that fight. You made subtle adjustments, but you didn't make the necessary adjustments that you need to win the fight at an earlier rate that you did before the late stoppage. So he wasn't happy about that performance with AJ's performance against Klitschko. Robert McCracken was not happy about that. Joseph Parker with Kevin Berry. Kevin Berry went up there and publicly said that he was not happy with Joseph's performance against Carlos Takam. He wasn't happy. He said he was too upright. He showed no head movement. He didn't keep his chin tucked in like I told him to. He wasted his shots early in the fight when I told him not to do it. And I wasn't happy about it. So that's something that Deontay needs. He needs someone to tell him that you're fucked up, son. You need to go back and you need to figure this out. You need to do better. So, Classic Metal says that Wilder did better because Fury wasn't as good then. Team Fury just did their homework very well. In the post-fight here in the interview, Fury never talked it was we, always we. Well, I would agree to disagree on that one, Classic Metal. I think Fury was good as he was in that first fight like he was in the second fight. The only difference is that he fought a different fight in that fight. Rather than standing toe-to-toe to Wilder, his whole game plan was to outbox him in that first fight. As opposed to the second fight, he decided to come forward and add more weight so he can lean on him and smother him and wear him down. So, again, I agree to disagree. I just think that Tyson Fury was always the same Tyson Fury that came out of the first fight than the second fight. I know that's the other excuse that people are using against how Wilder performed against Fury in the first fight. No, it's always been the same Tyson Fury. The only difference is that he made adjustments where he didn't rely on his outside boxing skills. He relied on his come forward pressure style. So, yeah. Fury looked fast and skillful in the first fight, but he walked into some bombs, though. Yeah, he did. Yeah, so yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay, cool, classic. Cool classic metal. That's cool. So yeah, let's talk about the glove controversy, glove gate. I know this has been an ongoing issue for the last week and a half now. I see some guys saying that Fury is a cheater. I've seen people say that his glove was out of place. I will say this though. Yes, the commissions were the ones who were in that locker room when he was getting gloved up and all that stuff. They're the ones who signed off on it, and that's INSAC, okay? That's the way it is. However, that doesn't mean that nothing should be looked into. And what I mean by that is that it is highly unusual, highly suspect that you have a man that was punching the way Tyson Fury was punching against Wilder in that second fight without closing his fist in the glove. What I mean by that, it seems like he was punching on the wrist at the lace of the glove, in my view, and I think that was pretty suspect to me. And the reason why I say that is because when you have your hand placed in that position, there is no padding in that wrist area of the glove, so it makes your punches more impactful than it was if you had padding on it. So that to me was a bit suspect right there. Okay, in that third round when Fury knocked down Wilder, the way he knocked him down, Fury came in with a right cross. All right, he didn't ball up his fist in the glove when he threw that shot. He just threw it as if it was an open palm. It landed on top of Wilder's head, and Wilder went down the way he did. It was very, very odd to me. It was extremely odd. Okay. But the fact is that, yes, Fury won the fight. He gets much credit for the win. But again, it just doesn't neglect the fact that this stuff shouldn't be looked into. All right. Now, I'm not going off to say that he's cheating. But what I'm saying is that I find it highly unusual that his hand was placed in the glove, was placed in the wrist area and where it shouldn't be. I know people are going to argue, say, well, Tyson Fury was arguing about the fact that his glove was loose in the first fight against Deontay Wilder in the fourth round. I get that. But the fact is, we're talking about the second fight. Since the referee didn't really bother giving him and then bother disciplining him for that situation in the first fight, maybe Fury felt that he could get away with in the second fight. I don't know. But the fact is this. It does ring some alarm bells, the way his hands were positioned in that glove. I find it highly unusual that Wilder was getting hurt with slapping punches. That's highly unusual. Highly unusual. Okay? And the fact is, too, I could go back to the fact that Tyson Fury has been accused by sparring partners that he's removed padding from gloves in training camps. So that right there is something you have to take into account. And the fact is, there was another photo that surfaced that there's a thumb or a bump in the wrist area of the glove, and I find that suspicious because it kind of reminds me of the fact that when Butch Lewis walked in the locker room, Mike Tyson's locker room, to make sure that he gets hand wrapped properly and get gloved properly, and leading up to the Michael Spinks fight, Butch Lewis discovered that Tyson was hand wrapped. Mike Tyson was already gloved. He was always wrapped, and no one expected it. And he saw a bump on his glove, and he got pissed off, and he wanted those gloves to be removed. He get his hands checked again. And that's why he sent in Eddie Futch to take a look at it. So the fact is that, look, I'm not saying that there's Fury cheated. What I'm saying is that something needs to be looked into. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change the result. Fury won the fight. NSAC is not going to overrule the decision. The WBC is not going to overrule the decision. Only thing Deontay Wilder can do is right the wrong in the third fight. That's what we need to focus on right now. Yes, some people are going to call it crazy for anyone to believe that Tyson Fury's glove situation is suspicious. But hey, if Charles Martin's pointing that out, if George Groves is pointing it out, of all people, then maybe there's some credence, maybe there's some weight to it. But the fact is that it is suspicious the way his hand was positioned his hands was positioned in those gloves. But it does not dismiss the fact that the decision was made. He won the fight by TKO. It stands. It will not be overruled. So all these uploaders that's making these videos day and night about this, you have to let it go. You have to let it go. Deontay has a third fight in his contract. It's a rematch clause. He's exercised it. It's going to be set for July 18th, as it's been spoken of. Let's see what happens from there. Let's focus on that. Okay. All right. Let's look at the chat here. So, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Boston. Today, that's my whole point. Wilder got his ass beat. Yes, he did. But those floppy gloves are highly suspect because it just seems very suspect to me that how a man's going to get hurt like that with sloppy punches. That's extremely odd. And the fact that one of those punches, and I mentioned in that third round, where it was a flappy punch behind the head and Wilder went down, he was hurt. And I'm like, what in the hell? That was extremely odd to me. Extremely odd. So yeah. So yeah. Let me see. Let me look at the chat here. Let's see. Okay, so Mayweather Boxing Channel did do a demonstration on this with several boxers who try to punch with a loose glove similar to Fury. They all agree that it's a recipe for injuring yourself. You can injure yourself, but that doesn't mean you can injure your opponent because that's a closed fist with no padding if you're doing that. So that's extremely odd right there. So let me go down to the chat. Showbiz, the adult. Yeah, I know Showbiz. Showbiz made a video, very good video, which he disapproved that there was something fishy going on. Yeah, again, it goes back to my point, Mr. Boxing today's point. Yes, Wilder got his ass whooped. No question about it. But that doesn't mean that there's nothing suspicious about those flapping gloves. That's something that cannot be ignored. That has to be looked into. In fact, some people argue that Tyson Fury hasn't said nothing about it. Maybe because he's not instructed to say anything about it. That's why he has his analysts that's doing the talking, like Frank Warren, like Bob Arum, like the Nevada State Athletic Commission. They're the ones who are going to do the talking, not Tyson Fury. So yes. So yeah, let me see. Wilder's lack of defense, lack of inside game, and failure to utilize the jab causes downfall. Yeah, and I agree with that, Mala. And the fact is that Wilder is not, I'm not saying he's a defensive wizard, but he's a very good defensive fighter to an extent. But he just didn't show that in the second fight. He didn't show that inside game like he did against Duopa. He didn't show that the utilizing the jab like he did in previous fights against Duopa, against the likes of Severn, the guys likes of other fighters. So he just didn't show those fundamentals, after those fights, and those were a few years ago. So, yeah, I agree with that. BG London says, "Look, if Wilder can't get the W from the gloves conspiracy, I don't care." Well, you know what? Yeah, you know what? That's a good point, BG London. If he can't overcome this whole conspiracy thing, then maybe we need to question Wilder as a fighter. It goes back to my point: is he there mentally going into that third fight? That's a question that's yet to be seen. Now, if he can overcome this, believe it or not, Deontay Wilder, I've read that he, in one article in the Forbes that he's a slight underdog 2-1 going into that fight, which is surprising to me. Then I read in another article somewhere that he's a big underdog, which should be the case because this is something that Deontay needs. He needs to prove everyone wrong. And the first time in his life, he's facing so much adversity, and this is something he can probably overcome. I don't know if he can do it. I don't think he can, but if he can do it, then that's something he needs. That maybe he could get the respect that he rightfully feels that he deserves if he can overcome this obstacle. Hell, I remember people saying that Anthony Joshua couldn't overcome Andrew Ruiz. I was one of those people who said it, but yet he did. He did that. I was one of many people who said that Evander Holyfield could never overcome Riddick Bowe in their rematch in their second fight many years ago. But guess what? Evander did overcome that loss. He overcame Riddick Bowe and he beat him in a second fight. All right. I was one of many people who said that I didn't think Evander Holyfield could beat Mike Tyson in the first fight as a 12-1 underdog going into that fight, 25-1 underdog before the fight, after the fight was made. So Evander overcame that, became the biggest upset in that year. So these things can happen, man. These things can happen. But again, Deontay, the first time in his life facing adversity, this is something he needed. And if he can overcome it, all respect to him, all power to him. All right. So let's move on to some other stuff real quickly. Robert Helinius knocks out or stops Adam Kownacki in the fourth round yesterday. Oh, boy. Oh, man. You know what? It's close one of those situations. I've said this a long time ago. Kownacki's a very good fighter. Yes, he is. He's a very good heavyweight. Don't let the body type fool you. But I've always said at best is that Kownacki is a puncher's dream. All right. A guy like Deontay Wilder, for example. And the reason why I say that is because Kownacki doesn't move his head. He has no regard for defense. He has a very strong chin, which he relies on. Yes, and he has very good power. He has good power. So that's what he relies on: his durability and his chin. But the fact is, he may have taken this fight pretty lightly because Robert Helenius has been in there against war level guys. He's been beaten up against the likes of Gerald Washington. He's been beaten by Derek Chisora, even though he got the gift decision over Derek Chisora in that second fight. He's been in there against Dillian White. And it's funny, though, it reminds me, though, because Dillian White looked bad in that fight against Helenius. And Helenius actually, in my view, won the first 4 rounds in that fight. He could have stopped Dillian White, but for some reason he stopped punching, and Dillian White came back and won the fight. So that's my view on it.
But the fact is, he's been there. He was knocked out by Duopa. He was knocked out by Duopa, the same guy that Wilder knocked out. So Helinius coming in there, doing what he did with Kownacki, was a recipe for disaster for Kownacki because the man has no foot movement whatsoever. He's durable, yes, but he's very slow, and he just doesn't have. The man just is a sitting target. And I said before that if he ever fought Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua, his style is tailor made for those guys. They were going to knock him out and tee off on the guy. And exactly, of all people, Robert Helinius did exactly that. All right, outbox the guy, hit him with some straight rights, hit him with some left hooks. I mean, Kownacki just didn't have an answer for that reach. That was a problem. And Helinius was just a little bit too fast for him. In the fourth round, that's what did him in, because in the fourth round in the corner when Kownacki tried to pressure Helinius, he got caught with a short right in the inside and he went down. It looked like a slip, but that was a knockdown. And the referee didn't call it a knockdown. And commentators did observe that. Lennox Lewis and John Gleason and Brian Kenny, they observed it. They said, yeah, he's hurt. That was a knockdown. I don't know why that was called a slip. The next you know, 2 punches later, he got knocked down. They said, yeah, it was a result of that first unofficial knockdown, as you want to call it. And then from there, Kownacki was done. And I have to say this, though. The Polish crowd was very supportive of Kownacki. That's their guy, man. That arena looked nearly sold out because he was the headliner. So, oh, man. I mean, definitely a stunning upset. That was a WBA title eliminator, not a final title eliminator. So Helinius moves on with a huge upset. Now, more than likely, based off this win, he goes into the top 10, ranked in the top 10 worldwide now. So definitely a good comeback fight from him. Where does he go from here? He definitely moves up in the rankings. So he's in striking distance of a title shot. Who knows? We'll see what happens from there. So, yeah, my hat's off to him. Kownacki, bad game plan. He didn't take his opponent lightly, and he suffered because of it. That's just my view. Because the reason why I say that is because Kownacki's been, not Kownacki. Helinius has been stopped by Gerald Washington. He's been stopped by what you call it? By Duopa. I believe he was stopped by Erkin Tepper. I could be wrong, or he beat Erkin Tepper. Let me check that out. Let me look that up real quickly. Let me see. Robert Helinius. Did he stop Erkin Tepper, or Erkin Tepper stopped him? Nordic Nightmare. Let's take a look. Let's see. Robert Helinius. Let's see. So he's been stopped twice. No, he's been stopped. Yeah, he's been stopped twice. One by Washington and one by Duopa. Oh yeah, he beat Tepper. Okay, yeah. So he beat Tepper. So he knocked him out. Okay. All right. So he lost the decision against Dillian White, as I mentioned. So yeah, the Chisora fights, we can all agree that he lost those fights. Let's be real. He lost that fight against Chisora. No question about it. He lost that fight. All right. So Helinius, I mean, overall, his resume is not quite bad. It's actually pretty decent for a heavyweight of his caliber. Let's be real. Some people call him a bit of an overachiever because the names that he got on his resume, I mean, seriously. So, but yeah, he's got a decent resume, but as for his caliber, but definitely goes in the top 10. What's up, EJ? What's up, YG? Frank Sanchez looked pretty impressive. Yeah, against Joey Dueco, he looked okay. But he still got ways to go, so I have to see more from Sanchez. Let me see. Yes, Dan. How about Kownacki? It's painful to see how he gets hit in the face so often. It reminds me of Oscar Valdez, for fuck's sakes. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Oscar Valdez actually got better defense than Kownacki. I'm just being fair. I'm just being fair, man. Let's see what we got here. Hold on for a second, guys. I'm in Yeah, he's had a lot of amateur fights. I'm back, guys, by the way. Yeah. So he's had a lot of amateur fights. But yeah, I mean, Frank Sanchez definitely has some skills, but I just gotta see more from the guy. I gotta see what he can do on world level because the amateur scene is totally different from world level. We all know that. So we'll see. We'll see. What else we got here? So where does Kownacki go from here? Yes, he'll definitely bounce back. He's still got a young career ahead of him. One loss doesn't define you as a fighter. Okay, as many people, believe in this thing about Floyd Mayweather, his philosophy. If you take a loss, you ain't shit. Now, fuck that, man. Nah. And too many people bought into that, and that's why many fighters were so sacred and protective about losing their undefeated streak because of the tone that Floyd had set while he was a champion. And you got to get out of that mindset, okay? Because every great fighter is taking losses, okay? Yes, Floyd Mayweather didn't take a loss, but I can name many great fighters that were better than him, and they taken losses in their careers, many of them, and that's a fact. All right. So, anyways, let's move along here. So, Ajaba, I know he fought. Who did he fight? I know he fought. Razu Kajano. I didn't get to take a chance to look at that fight. I don't know about that one. If anybody got some thoughts about that fight, let me know. But what I can tell you is about Ajaba. Yeah, Ajaba, he's too slow, man. I mean, he's definitely got some bit of fundamentals, but he's too slow on his feet. I mean, he's too upright. He keeps his chin way in the air, man. He's another recipe for disaster, man. If he doesn't figure out a way to get some head movement, he's got to figure out how he's going to move his feet, man, because he's too stationary and he's too flat-footed. That's the thing I'm worried about Ajaba. And, I mean, the way he got dropped against Kovalevsky in that fight, oh, man, that was very worrying to me. Very worrying. And Kovalevsky didn't have much power in that shot, too, when he fought. He was hurt. He was, fighting off the back foot, and he threw that shot, and that was like a lucky shot he just threw, and he hurt Ajaba. I mean, I know that was a previous fight. We're talking about this fight with Kajano. I didn't get a chance to look at it, but going into that fight, I can see why he's passive, as Bala is saying, because after that fight, he's extra cautious now. So, yeah. What else we're talking about here? Just a quick thoughts of Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo Alvarez. That fight has been set. It's set to go at the Las Vegas. It's set to go in Las Vegas. It's going to take place at the T-Mobile Arena. I think the date is in June, I believe. I could be wrong about that. Let me take a look at it. Let's see what date it's been set for. Yeah, so May 2nd. Okay, that's tomorrow. That's almost 2 months away. Jesus Christ. All right, so it's for the it's at super middleweight. It's for the WBO super middleweight title, and trip this. Canelo still carries a regular WBA title, so the WBA has, or the WBO has authorized a unification bout with the regular title and the WBA title. The WBO has authorized a unification bout with the regular title, which is kind of not so in the norm because usually the WBA regular title is not recognized by the sanction bodies, but there are some exceptions that can be made because this is Canelo Alvarez for one. I think they did make that exception. Well, actually, they did make an exception for one. Oh yeah, Naoya Inoue when he fought in the World Boxing Super Series at bantamweight. So yeah, so I guess that was one of those exceptions that could be made for the regular title. But yeah, definitely interesting fight. Billy Joe Saunders. I don't know. I'm not picking him to win this fight because Billy Joe Saunders doesn't look good as a super middleweight. I'm just keeping it real. If this fight was at middleweight, yeah, it'd probably be a more dangerous fight for Canelo to fight Saunders. But at super middleweight, no, not at all. And Billy Joe Saunders is not known to be a very disciplined guy either. He doesn't, from my observation, he doesn't seem like he cares about the sport anymore from the looks of it. He doesn't. I mean, because I think looking at this Canelo fight, he's getting a very, very huge payday. Who knows? We can, some people may argue that this be a cash out fight for him. He may be done after this. And what's surprising about this is that Billy Joe Saunders hasn't really taken damage in his career. He's been pretty much a damage-free fighter, but you can argue, like, look at the opposition he's fought over the years. They haven't been great. His best win on his record, you can argue, is either Chris Eubank Jr. or or Andy Lee. Those are the only world level opponents that he's fought. Willie Monroe, nah, not so good. David Lemieux, yes, former champion, but not a very good fighter on world level. But other than that, that's it. That's it. I mean, yeah, I agree. He looked very good against David Lemieux. He didn't lose one round that fight. That was just a long time ago. I mean, again, if this fight was at middleweight, which Saunders, that's his natural weight, and that's where he's very strong and powerful at. What I mean by powerful, he's not known to be a big puncher, but he's far more skillful and far more dangerous at that weight class than at super middleweight. Then yeah, but super middleweight Saunders doesn't look good. He looks slower to me. He doesn't look that natural at that weight, and he's a recipe for disaster for Canelo. I'm being real. Canelo's gonna take him out. I'm keeping it real. Canelo's gonna take him out, and that's not gonna be good. Saunders is gonna he's gonna get stopped. I predict 7th round at best. 7th round. And that's it for him, in my view. Another fight that's been made is nobody's really talking about is Sergey Kovalev versus Wilder'S. Well, all I can say is that fight should have been made maybe about 3-4 years ago, while both guys were at their best. But it's clear that both guys are way past it. Particularly Kovalev, because he's been knocked out several times, and he's coming off a big bad knockout loss against Canelo Alvarez. So, in one sense, this fight does make sense. This you could consider this so much of a crossover fight. So yeah, and so this bout's supposed to take place next month in April 25th. So, I mean, it's a very interesting fight. But the surprising thing about this, what caught me off guard a little bit, is this fight's actually going to be at cruiserweight. Catchweight, actually. It's going to be at catchweight 180 pounds. To me, it doesn't really surprise me that much if that's in this situation, because Kovalev has been struggling to make 175 for a bit of while now. Yes, he's made the weight, but he did miss weight in the Canelo Alvarez fight. He missed weight for that fight, and he's been complaining about making the 175 for years now. And Wilder'S is a huge light heavyweight. He's very huge. The man looks like a goddamn cruiserweight going into fights. So I think, being at 180 catchweight for cruiserweight, definitely not surprising. But both men will definitely look much healthier at that catchweight, more so than they would be at light heavyweight, because Kovalev looked pretty drained in those last few fights at light heavyweight. So yeah, that's just my take on it. But if I have to pick a winner, I might have to go with Kovalev. I think he's definitely a much better fighter. Definitely much better fighter than Barrera. Barrera is actually a very good fighter himself, skill-wise. But the thing about Barrera is that he doesn't have very good punch resistance. His chin is very, very, very suspect. But he's a game fighter, though. He's tough. But he will give you. He'll take the fight to you. But I expect Kovalev to get past him probably no later than the 8th round, in my view. So yeah. Yeah, so Overhand says, yeah, Saunders looked done from the way, from what I've seen in his last couple fights. So I expect him, yeah, I agree. He doesn't seem to be a guy who's very talented, as Classic Metal says, but he doesn't have the passion for the sport anymore. He doesn't look very enthused about it anymore. Look at it. Billy Joe Saunders in the last few fights has made millions and millions of dollars. See, when fighters are in that position, that's when they start losing the passion. I always have to allude to this point. When Marvin Hagler once said many years ago, he said, look, once you make millions and millions of dollars as a fighter, it's very difficult to get up out of bed and train 5 o'clock in the morning and do some road work while you're sleeping in a big king-size bed in silk pajamas. That's what Marvin Hagler said. He said it's extremely difficult to do that. And the reason why he said that is because, 1, you lack the motivation, and 2, you made so much millions and millions of dollars. What's the point of working hard? I think it goes, it kind of, it's funny that I bring that up, because it kind of reminds me of some of these fighters of today, like Deontay Wilder and Keith Thurman. And don't get me wrong, Deontay Wilder keeps himself in good shape even outside the ring, but that doesn't mean he eats properly. He doesn't have proper nutrition. I know heavyweights don't have to make weight, but still, going into fights, you still have to have a proper nutrition. And that's another thing Deontay needs as well. He needs proper nutrition going into this fight with Tyson Fury. That's my view. So yeah, Barrera's shot, he got dominated by Jesse Hart in his last fight. Yeah, Yeah, I mean, look, Kovalev and Barrera are both shot fighters. Let's be real. They're both shot. But if I have to pick a winner between the two, I say Kovalev will definitely win the fight, in my view. So they're both shot. That's why I said that this fight would have made more sense a few years ago when both of the guys were top of their game and they're both in their prime, but they're no longer in their prime. They've both been stopped. They've both been taking beatings in their previous fights. So yeah, this is just the fight that, pretty much this fight kind of makes sense to an extent because this is a crossroads fight between the two. Yeah, they're both in the last stages of career. I agree with that, classic metal, but let's be real. They're not fighting at light heavyweight. This is at catchweight, 180 pounds. They're fighting at cruiserweight. So this is not a light heavyweight contest. Let's see. Yeah, so pretty much that's what I'll cover. I'll bring the guys in, then we could chop it up a little bit, and I'm going to close this out. So let me go ahead and send a link in to these dudes. We see so many upsets today because these fighters get $1 million contracts before even facing someone noteworthy. Well, that's true. I agree with that. It's funny, though, because I think what it is that I love, Al Haymon is not the only guy responsible for this. As many many promoters or managers, I should say, they need to be held liable for this because it's a mistake to give a fighter $1 million contract going to their first title fight. You can't do that. You need to you need to give them a supplemental amount of income going into a title fight. In my view, if they want to earn millions and millions of dollars, they need to take their first title fight, earn at least like $250,000, and then from there, if you get successful title defenses against noteworthy opponents, then you can earn $1 million purses. Hell, that's how Don King did it back in the day, and that's how Bob Arum used to do it. But it seems like that day and age is gone now, because again, I know people want to blame Al Haymon and PBC for overpaying fighters for taking on lackluster opponents. Yeah, that's part of the reason. But Al is not the only guy who's been doing that, who set that footprint. It's been other promoters who's been setting that footprint. Eddie Hearn's been setting that footprint. Frank Warren's been setting that footprint. I mean, Bob Arum now to this day is setting that footprint. So all the promoters and all the managers are to be blamed for why fighters are making multi-million-dollar paydays, fighting lackluster opponents before fighting a noteworthy opponent. So yeah. Oh yeah, and I agree overhand. The zone is overpaying way too many fighters, and that's another mistake. They fucked up on that. That's the reason why they're in the red right now, because they overpaid their fighters. And yes, you can argue that PBC did the same thing. Yeah, but the PBC didn't overpay fighters to an extent that the zone did it. The zone took it way overboard. They gave a guy like Gennady Golovkin a multi-fight deal worth $100 million, and look who he's fighting. Golovkin's fighting no one. Okay, the only noteworthy opponent that he fought was Derevchenko, and he looked horrible in that fight. And many people argue that he lost that fight. And now Golovkin's coming out saying that he's not fighting anyone else unless he gets the third Canelo fight. And that's beyond bullshit in my view. I don't understand why the hell the zone didn't even gave him this type of offer. He's giving him this type of offer, although he's come out and said he's refused to fight any other top-level opponent unless he gets a Canelo fight. It's bullshit. And obviously, we all know why Golovkin is doing that. He's taking that stance because he's trying to cash out. He's getting old. He knows that now, and he realized that he doesn't have much time left. So, but at the same time, it's a mistake that the zone gave him this type of deal. It was also a mistake that the zone gave Canelo a fucking pretty much a Hulk Hogan. I get to book my own fight on book my own matches clauses. All right, because Canelo straight up is saying that I'll fight whoever I want to fight, and that's the privilege that the zone gave him. Now, as far as the last two fights of this contract, will the zone dictate this level of opposition? I don't know. But it seems to me there's no point suggesting that. All right? And Mikey Garcia got a $7 million payday for fighting fucking Jesse Vargas. Jesse Vargas, of all people, he got $7 million to take that fight. That's fucking ridiculous, man. I mean, talk about overpaying somebody, fighting somebody. And Jesse Vargas, to me, yeah, I know he's not a bad fighter, but you can't make $7 million fighting Jesse Vargas realistically. How is that even possible? Did the zone even make up the numbers for that fight? I doubt it. I mean, what the fuck, man? Seriously. This is the reason why these fighters are being bullshit as they are now, because they're so used to facing lackluster oppositions and getting paid millions and millions of dollars of doing it. That's the reason why they're overpricing themselves. Because like, look, they're gonna point back to the fact that I made $5 million fighting this fucking slow, Smokes Joe, whatever his name is, but yet you want me to make the same amount of money fighting this guy who's elite world level. Nah, fuck that. You gotta give me more than what I got in that fight. That's crazy. It's bullshit. You know? That's why I wish we go back to the older days. Yeah, you can say fuck Don King all you want to, but at least that man made those fighters earn their fucking money. He made them earn it by fighting dangerous fights. You can appreciate Don King for that shit. Now we don't have that anymore because it's all about, okay, we got to look after the fighters. Yes, I get it. You have to look after the fighters. You got to make sure they don't get screwed. I applaud Al Heyman. I applaud Eddie Hearn for that. But that doesn't mean you can baby those motherfuckers and let them dictate their fucking fights. Fuck all that. We fans pay them to watch them fight those the take on dangerous fights. Like it or not, boxing is a bloodthirsty sport, okay? This is not a fucking gentleman's sport as people call it out to be. It's not a gentleman's sport. This is a fucking bloodbath, and this is a barbaric sport. It's always been this way for many years and many decades, way before all of us were born. So I don't want to hear that bullshit about being a gentleman's sport. It's about who you fight and how you fight them, all right? Plain and simple. And that's what fans pay good money to see these fighters like Deontay Wilder fight guys like Tyson Fury. We pay good money to see Anthony Joshua fight guys like Vladimir Klitschko. I'm just saying. That's just my view. Okay? My view. Yeah, Classic Mel says the head honchos at the zone should make a lucky fight some tough opponents. Who set up those damn contracts? I don't know, man. I really don't know. I'm not sure if John Skipper is the one who's pretty much setting up the negotiations. Who's doing the hard work when it comes to the negotiations. I'm not sure if it's him, but I do know is that he's the one that finalizes the contracts. I believe he's the one that oversees it. He's the only one that gives it the stamp of approval. So he's equally responsible for why these guy fighters are getting overpaid. Okay, so yeah, he's responsible. Overhand says that $7 million is crazy for a small event like that. Yeah, hell yeah. Fucking $7 million for a small event. I'm telling you, I guarantee you the zone did not they recoup that their money for that fight when Garcia fought Jesse Vargas. There's no way they recouped it. There's no fucking way. And they haven't came out with the figures on the viewership for that fight. Let's be real. They haven't done it. That's just terrible. Terrible business, in my view. And why do you think the zone hasn't really scheduled that? They don't have a big line of fights like they did a couple years ago, because they're scaling back, which they should scale back. Yeah, and then let's be fair to them, though. They still got some good cards coming up, especially with the women's super fight coming up with Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. That fight should have been made a long time ago, but now we finally getting it. I mean, to be fair, both Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano are top of their game. They're at their prime, so they're still in good condition. So perfect time for the fight to be made. Katie Taylor expected to win that fight because she's the naturally bigger and physical opponent than Amanda Serrano. Serrano's a naturally small woman. She's like a featherweight. She's a natural featherweight. So actually, no. She's actually a super bantamweight or bantamweight. She's a natural bantamweight. So she's a very, very naturally small individual. And I think this fight's going to be taking place at what? Like welterweight? Oh, man. Serrano, I don't know, man. She's a very good fighter, but she may get mauled in this fight. I don't know how she could deal with Katie Taylor's pressure, so we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, someone that gave John Skipper bad advice. Yeah, those contracts were terribly drawn out. Terribly drawn out. Now, how can the zone recoup from this? Maybe by their region expansion, as classic music, metal, because I keep classic music. Classic metal has pointed out is that the zone is about to expand to 200 countries soon. Yeah, the UK is one of them. That's great, but this is a numbers game. You need to recoup all those dollars quickly as possible. So I guess that's what they're banking on, is on their expansion to recoup the dollars that they spent here in the US on these damn fighters. So, I mean, let's be real. They're not recouping any of that money anytime soon. Let's be real. Let's be real. All right, so let's see here. Kurt Sugar, what's happening, man? He says the 49th happy 49th anniversary to Ali versus Frazier, the fight of the century. Oh yeah, that did take place on March 8th. I forgot about that. Hey, good pointing that out, man. We definitely gonna have to do some do a salute video to that, a video tribute to that fight, man. Very good stuff. Overhead says, "You hear that J-Rock is not activating his rematch clause?" Nah, I didn't hear about that. He's not fighting Jason Rosario in the rematch. Well, you know what? Maybe because he wants to get some tune-up fights before taking the rematch. That's possible. I don't know, but if I'm J-Rock, maybe that'd be best for him because he took a pretty bad beating against Jason Rosario in that fight. Very bad beating. So, I mean, he was a little bit better competitive. He was competitive in that fight, but he took some bad shots in the last 3 rounds in that fight. So, yeah. Let's see. Classic Mel says they have the English Premier League on the zone, so that's the most popular league in the entire world. Yeah, that's true. They do have that, so that's the one thing that's going from them right now. So the question is though, since the zone is entering the UK now, and that's they're going. I think they're slated to enter the market by June, I believe. If so, what happens to Sky Sports? Because the zone is still going to be featuring boxing. So what I've heard is that Joshua will still have to fight on Sky Sports because of their current agreement, and Dillian White will have to as well. So what's the situation on that? Is the Sky Sports eventually going to exit out of boxing? Or are they going to phase it out? Or what's going on with that since the zone is coming in? Well, we'll see. But let me bring the fellas in here a little bit, and we'll chop it up. And I'm going to call it a day. All right, let's bring in these cats. I'm going to bring them in. Hop in. I'm live. Hop in, people. We live. All right, let's get this other motherfucking. Look at this other dude in here. All right, let's see. Let's get the Hater Report people in here. All right, let's see who's hopped in. Oops, the wrong one. Nobody yet. That's okay though. It's all good. So let's look at my let's see what else we got going on here. So I mean, nothing else is really going on other than the fact that Roman Gonzalez about the last weekend, not this weekend, but the previous weekend, he gained back his title against Calify. Comeback win. He needed that. So shout out to the Chocolatito for coming back. So would that set up a rematch against him and Juan Francisco Estrada, El Gallo? Perhaps it will. But I'll tell you this, though. I think I'll favor El Gallo to win that fight because I know Chocolatito got the decision over Gallo. Some people argue that he won their fight. Gallo won that first fight, but I think Gallo was a much better fighter, much more dangerous fighter than he was back then. So I definitely favor him to beat Chocolatito. Sarisa Ket, definitely. Total mismatch. Don't go back in there against Sarisa Ket. Much bigger guy, much more stronger puncher than you, much more physical than you. Nah, bad idea, in my view. So Battle Rifle, what's happening?
Give me a second.
All right. All right. So yeah. So shout out to Chocolatito. I know some people argue that he should go back in the top 10 pound for pound. Nah. Calify. Let's be real. Calify was never looked upon as a very great super flyweight champion. He never was. I mean, look who he's fighting. I mean, yeah, he was fighting. He got the Concepcion win, whatever, great, whatever. But that Concepcion was way past his best. Let's be real, okay? Calify probably wouldn't even beat that guy, that person, beating Prime Concepcion at his prime. Let's be real. He probably wouldn't even won that fight. All right. So other than that, yeah, Calify, please. I mean, I'm surprised in my view. I was shocked to learn that going into that fight that Calify was a favorite to beat Gonzalez. I mean, come on, man. So let's be real. I mean, anybody who favored Calify to win that fight, come on, you can't be serious.
You got to give my boy Chocolatito his credit, man.
Oh, absolutely, I give him his credit. But I said he was going to win that fight. But the fact is that it was surprising to me that anybody gave Calify a chance to win it. I mean, let's be real. I was surprised he was even the favorite to win that fight. Yes, I guess there were some factors why he was a favorite because Chocolatito suffered 2 bad losses, especially that horrible knockout loss against Rum side. Then he came back and fought some, lower tier super flyweights like Fuentes and the other guy I can't even name. And he was going through some personal issues. His trainer, his lifelong trainer, had passed away going into the Sarisa Ket rematch. He was going through a divorce. He was going through some troubles with his team. So yes, you can put all those factors in. You could probably argue, okay, Chocolatito may not have nothing left, but he proved everyone wrong. I'll give him prove some doubters wrong, I should say. I'll give him credit for that. But at the same time, I'm not gonna say that Calify was a great win. It was not a great win. It was an okay win, but it was not a great win. Let's be real. It was an okay win. It was a good win for him to come back and get his confidence back as a champion. So, yeah. I don't see him winning that fight against Gallo. I don't see it. I'm just being real. Now, Kudros...
He's gonna destroy that guy.
Well, Gallo...
Maybe against... Okay. Dude, did you see what he did to your 5-man? Come on now.
I mean, you really think Calify was a great super flyweight?
No, I mean, honestly, I only seen him fight once.
So come on.
I seen him. No, I mean, he's not a great super flyweight, not at all. I didn't say that. I said I was the one saying he was going to destroy him before the fight was even okay. Well, before we was even talking about the fight. And even when we were talking about the fight, I said that he was going to get destroyed, and that's just because I knew what Chocolatito was capable of. And I'm not saying that he should. You're right. He shouldn't be pound for pound. That's just because of a win over Calify. That's just not fair.
I know.
So I just think he should be back soon, but he needs a rematch with Kowadris or something to put him back on there. I don't know if he can beat Rung V-side though. Can you stop?
Yeah, it's all that. Damn, bro, what's that? Your background? Your sister, your brother, or what?
My bad.
It's all good, man. It's all good. But I mean, against Quadras, I mean, hell, I'd probably slightly fake Quadras to win that fight. Who knows? Because many people argue that Quadras won the first fight against Chocolatito because Chocolatito didn't look all that great in that fight either. So
I thought he did a pretty good job. It was basically him. I mean, he lost the first half of the fight, but at the last half, he was basically dominant. He hurt him a good one time, and then he was on on him the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, look, I thought Quadras won that fight. Yes, it was a pretty close fight, but I thought he won.
You talking about what, Chocolatito?
Yeah, Chocolatito Quadras fight. Yeah.
I mean, we should go back and score that, man, individually because.
Yeah, I thought Chocolatito lost that fight. Let's be real. I thought he lost. He didn't look that good in that fight. That was his first fight at super flyweight. So, but anyways, yeah. I mean, look, to me, I just think that him fighting Gallo, Sarisa Ket in the third rubber match, or even Quadras, I don't know. I'm not sure if he could come through in those fights, especially Gallo. Gallo is a much better fighter than they fought in the first time. Yes, they fought at flyweight, and many people felt that Gallo won that fight in their fight at flyweight. Many people thought he won it. Some people, I should say. It was a close fight, but some people thought he won it. So, to me, I favor Gallo to win that fight. I'm favoring him to win it, probably by a decent margin. As far as betting odds is concerned, but yeah. Kurt Sugar says, I fought a stupid fight. I mean, look, Calify never fought. Who's never a very smart fighter to begin with. He always imposed his physicality against his opponents, but to this day, he met the wrong person that he could impose his physicality against, and that was Chocolatito. So yeah, he couldn't do those. He couldn't use those attributes against a guy like that. I mean,
but Chocolatito, he's one of the best combination punchers in the game. It's nobody who can beat him on that level, unless you just move up to Canelo, because Canelo's
Quadras kind of outpunched him in that fight.
As far as combination punching, no, I don't think he outpunched him.
Have you seen Quadras fight? That dude's an unbelievable combination puncher.
Of course, but the thing about it is when it came to Chocolatito versus Gonzalez, it wasn't that he was just outscoring him the entire way. It's usually that's the way Roman Gonzalez fights. He usually lets the other guy get most of his punches off in the early rounds, and then he usually turns up the heat once the rounds go on. Usually that's if he knows the guy is just like kind of like real, that he's not like no slouch. Like if it's against like Arroyo, of course he's going to take the lead first. But if it's against like Rung Visai, he's not going to do that.
And styles make fights, and and someone pointed out, Classic Metal in the chat says that in that first fight, and I remember that vaguely. In that first fight, Chocolatito was hit with a body shot, and that knocked him like way across the ring, and I was like, wow, that's how powerful that
you talking about Sisakit? That was kind of like a slip though. How he hit him, that was kind of like a slip.
Maybe, but to me, it hit him that far away with a body shot like that. That it was kind of surprising. Surprising.
Because you seemed like he was kind of puzzled, like how he got knocked down. Like he wasn't.
Yeah, how hard the guy hit, because the dude is extremely powerful. He's too. I mean, let's be fair. Sisakit is too big to be a super flyweight. He's too big. That's why I want him and Inoue to take. They should have fought at super flyweight, but Inoue took his ass up to bantamweight, and it bode well for him. Let's give him some credit. But I think that Inoue is too small to be a bantamweight. To be honest with you, I think he needs to go back down to superfly. That's where the fights need to be made. He needs to fight Sisakit. He needs to fight Gallo. He needs to fight. Now Gonzalez is back in the game. Maybe he should fight him, but I'm definitely favoring Inoue to steamroll Gonzalez. He should steamroll him. He should steamroll Quadras. Sisakit be much tougher fight, and Gallo be somewhat a tougher fight. But I think he'll get to Gallo eventually if they fought. That's what Inoue needs to do, in my view. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's a bigger guy. I just think he's just way too explosive for any guy to move up and beat him.
All right. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. So anyways, man, I know we've been on this subject for a long time now. I'm not going to go on this again. The Wilder Fury glove controversy, man. I'm not going to go into that anymore. I share my thoughts, opinions about that. I'm not sure if you have, but I said this. I'm not sure if you're going to agree with me or not. Yes, Fury won the fight. Wilder took an ass whooping. Indeed. That's all we need to know. But the fact is that you cannot ignore the fact that those flappy gloves looked very suspect. And the way that Fury is punching it with those gloves looked very, very odd to me. If George Groves is pointing that out, if Charles Martin is pointing that out, then something's not right there. But what's your take on that? And my view is that we should all move on from that. Wilder took the ass whooping. We can't change the result. Fury got the win. He got the title. He's the lineal champion. Well, he always been the lineal champion. He's the Ring Magazine champion now. So we move on from that. Wilder gets to redeem himself in the third fight. What's your take on that? Battle, you there?
Yeah, I was trying to unmute my mic.
Yeah.
But as far as like people like forgetting about it, like I don't think it's the people who are like really pushing it are not really going to forget it. They're just going to like can tell you that the evidence shows like the proof is like in a pudding. But honestly, I think that, like I said, yeah, it was suspicious too. But if anything, we should see an investigation going, because I think Fred from Barbershop is going to start like send like his evidence to like Vegas for like an investigation. So it's like,
yeah, I know. I heard there's a hearing. Him and Young Fury going to have a hearing coming up. But let me just say this, man. My opinion, but no disrespect to those guys, but they're not going to get anywhere with that. I'm just keeping it real. It's not going to go anywhere. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if Kathy Duva filed a protest against INSAC to get a decision overturned in the Ward and Kovalev rematch, feeling that Andre Ward won by a actual disqualification rather than a actual legitimate punch, if they weren't able to overturn it, what makes you think they're going to overturn the decision Wilder versus Fury rematch? What makes you think they're going to do it? They're not going to do it. They're not going to waste your time on this.
She tried to do an investigation, or like overturn the
she
rematch.
did. Yeah, with the Ward and Kovalev rematch. She sent tapes over to INSAC. She sent it to the commission. She tried to get them to overturn the decision of the fight, and they didn't do it. It stands. So it's a done deal. The same thing with the Pacquiao team with the WBO when he fought Bradley the first fight. When they were arguing over the decision that they felt they were, should receive the short end of the stick by the judges, which is true. I thought Pacquiao won that fight. They went to the WBO. They protested with the WBO. I think they protested by the commission. The commission refused to overturn it. They went to the WBO to try to get them to overturn the decision. The WBO came out and says, no, we looked at the tapes. We do agree with you that Pacquiao won the fight. However, we're not the commission. We have no jurisdiction to overturn a fight result. The only thing we can do is that we can order rematch. The only thing we can do is advise you to take the rematch with Bradley to right that wrong, pretty much. That's it. So, again, no disrespect to Fred, no disrespect to Young Pharaoh. Yes, they may have some evidence showing that Fury gloves were suspicious. I agree with that aspect. But the fact is they're not going to get anywhere with this. That's just a complete waste of time, in my view. Let's just move on from it, and let's focus on the rematch with Wilder, and let's focus on the trilogy fight. Because to me, you're not doing Deontay Wilder any favors by doing this, in my view. We need to go get past this. The result is there. It's not going to be overturned. Let's focus on the rematch. And Wilder can, if he can redo his wrong, then all power to him. All right. So what do you think?
I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, it's like I said, it looks suspicious too. Like I look at the footage, and a guy just put out a video saying that it's basically what he's saying just doesn't make what a lot of people are saying doesn't make sense to him, because he's a trainer as well, and he was going over like the fist and the palm and stuff like that. You know how they say like it was halfway down. And it brings up a lot of questions, but I also got to be like, I have to be realistic and be like, wow, it's some things that just does look suspicious. So if anything, he should just take the rematch and then try to, get that, that victory he wants back.
In my perspective, they're going to sell this rematch by bringing up this glove controversy. That's how they're going to sell it. Because now everybody's in fight now. Because like it or not, some people can argue, say, if Tyson Fury won fair and square. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure about that, but I will say this, though. He did beat Wilder down. That was an ass whooping either way. But the fact is that you cannot argue, you cannot dispute the fact that there is something going on with those gloves. There was something going on there at all. And you have to factor in that Tyson Fury has been accused by past sparring partners that he has removed padding from gloves in sparring camps, in training camps. He has done that. He's been accused of that before. So this is nothing new when it comes to Fury. So that's a controversy that could be sold for the rematch. And because of this, again, people want to see the third fight. And I have to be honest with you, I do want to see it now at this point. Because I think now that there's some controversy will sell it. It's legit controversy. And Wilder can somehow, some way he can rewrite that wrong. So yeah, what is your take on it?
Well, that is a good point. You can't just say like with the, what was it, Barry Robinson?
Who? Max Barry. Who?
You remember how there was like it was Barry Robinson in the video when the sparring partner took it to him,
right?
Because like he's a witness to that, so I guess they can use that as a leverage if they ever want to have the second fight. I mean, well, the rematch. Come on, so yeah, it's a lot of stuff they can bring to it. I like morals aside, I really don't know how I would handle this situation. I'm trying my best to think of it right now. It's hard.
Yeah, let me just say this, man. Like I said, I'm going to take the middle ground on this. Yes, Wilder got his ass whooped. He did. He has to accept that, all right? It's something he needed to humble himself, but it doesn't dismiss the fact that there was some shady shit that was going on with those Tyson Fury gloves. You can't ignore that fact. There's too many evidence. There's too many circumstantial evidence. There's too many signs, all right? Too many signs on those gloves. It looked suspicious how he fitted those gloves. It looked highly suspicious. All right, that cannot be ignored. So those factors itself will sell the third fight. It will sell it. So we'll see. And now Shizbiz asked the question: should Wilder come in lighter? Yeah, I think he will. I think he should. I'm not saying he should drastically cut down his weight, but I think he should come down in the mid 225s, like 225, 224, maybe 226, but definitely no 230. Don't go to 230. Maybe 225 would be best for him, in my view. King Wing says that my dog ate my leg work. Nah, I know you're talking about Wilder excuses. Yeah, I addressed that already earlier in this live hangout, is that Wilder needs to stop with the 1 million and one excuses. Just accept the fact that you lost the fight. Move on. You got the rematch. Let you right that wrong in that rematch. Well, Shizbiz, you say Wilder can't use the gloves as an excuse. I get that, but if he can't win that rematch based off this alone, then yeah, I agree with you on that. But it is suspicious the way Fury's gloves, the way they were fitted on his hand in that fight. It's highly suspicious. that cannot be ignored. So, but at the same time, we can't, even though we can't ignore it, it doesn't change the result. He beat to Deontay Wilder. That's on his record. He has his title. He has a ring title along with his linear title. So we should move on from that and focus on the third fight. That's all I gotta say. But go ahead, Battle.
No, I was just saying, yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
All right, cool. So, question: before I conclude this hangout, I want to get your thoughts on Kovalev versus Barrera. That fight's gonna happen at a catchweight. What do you think about that?
Like who's in it? Like the catchweight?
It's 180 pounds. It's cruiserweight. Well, hold on. Before we get whose idea, what is it? I don't know. But before we get to that, Classic Mel said Wilder himself has said nothing about the gloves. I mean, yeah, that's true. He hasn't said nothing about it, neither his camp, but neither is Tyson Fury. I mean, he himself has said nothing about the gloves, but his team has come out and been addressing this issue left and right. So if Wilder hasn't said anything about it, okay, fine. That's good enough for him, because I'd rather him not say it, because that's another excuse that he's going to be that's be piled onto all the other million excuses he used for why he lost his fight. So it'd be best not for him to say anything about that. It'd be best for him to forget about it. The damage is done. Focus on your rematch and get your titles back. That's all I got to say. Surely, if anyone would be complaining about it, it would be Wilder and his team. I get that Classic Metal. I get that, but it just looks bad as it is already that Wilder is using all the other excuses. His costume was an excuse. It was 40 pounds. It was too heavy for me to carry to the ring. My leg was hurting. I didn't have a good training camp. That's just bad enough as it is already. If you use those excuses and then use the glove, complain about Tyson Fury's gloves, how does that make Wilder look? Make him look even much worse than it is now. So it'd be best for him not to say anything about it right now. So that's my take on it. But I do agree. You do have a point that maybe his team should say something about it, but they've already used many excuses already, so it doesn't look good either way. But go ahead, Battle. You said something about the Kovalev-Barrera, whose idea to make it a catchweight. Yeah,
I was wondering.
I don't know, but what I can tell you is this: that Kovalev has been complaining about making light heavyweight for a long while now. He's been complaining. He's been struggling to make that weight. He didn't make the weight the first attempt when he fought Canelo, so that was a telling sign of it. And Barrera himself, I mean, even though we haven't heard any excuses for him about making light heavyweight, but he is a very, very big light heavyweight. He blows up. He rehydrates nearly to goddamn cruiserweight limit. He looks very big in there in fights. So for both men, I guess it is ideal for them to do this catchweight because light heavyweight is just too much for both of them, in my view, at this point. And besides, it's a crossroads fight. They're both past their best. I mean, Barrera was never a champion, but he was a solid contender back then, after the Andre Ward loss. But this fight would have made more sense several years ago, 4 years ago. But, both of them took knockout losses. They both look bad. They both been taking beatings in their previous fights. So, I favor Kovalev to win the fight, because he's a much better fighter out of the two. What do you think?
Man, it's kind of hard because he took like 2 knockout losses since at least the last time since I was looking forward towards a fight with Barrera and Kovalev. And Sullivan Barrera took one too with Bivol, and I didn't expect that at all. So, I mean, I'm not. Man, this is hard to kind of judge. And he lost to man, what the last guy he lost to? I can't remember his name. You know what I'm talking about, Dan?
Which one?
Sullivan Barrera. He lost to
Jesse Hart.
Yeah, Jesse Hart. I couldn't believe that. I just couldn't believe that actually happened because Sullivan Barrera was he was a decent, solid dude. The only people he got beat was Bivol. So I thought there's no way he could have lost to Jesse Hart, but it happened.
And this is all Barrera who's come off decent wins against Joe Smith Jr., Sabransky and those guys. Then you taking losses against Bivol. That's no shame to lose a guy like Bivol. You took a hard loss against Dimitri Bivol. Then you lose to Jesse Hart of all people. What the fuck? Of all people, Jesse Hart.
I was just oh man. Don't get me wrong, Jesse Hart is tough. I mean, he took a lot of punishment, I think, with the as far as the last half of the Gilberto Ramirez fight. But I mean, I didn't expect it at all. Like, I certainly didn't expect it.
Yeah. So that's extremely rare, man. I mean, I don't know, man, but I favor Kovalev to win that fight. But well, last a couple of things I want to talk about. What do you think about the Helinius and the Kownacki fight that went down?
Man, I'm not gonna lie. I was proud of dude. Like I didn't put. I honestly got that prediction and completely wrong. I put like Kownacki by like second round knockout. And to be honest, like it's like he was. It seemed like he was like really gonna be out of there by like round 4 or round what was it, round 3 when he got hurt like the round before he knocked down Adam Kownacki. But I was actually proud of the dude. I think he did his job well. You know, he had the height. All he just needed to do was apply it, and he did. So I mean, he had a great victory for Norris, man. I mean, probably didn't get a title from that, but still, it's a good victory.
Yeah, it's a good victory. It gets him in the top 10 though, because it'll get him in top 10 ranking after this win. So, yeah. So anybody who beats Robert Helenius at this point gets a top 10 win credit. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. I mean, can Kownacki come back? He'll definitely come back. He's still got a young career. One loss doesn't define you as a fighter. He could come back. He'll have to work on some things. I think there's some adjustments that he needs to make now. You know, because when you lose a fight, it does sometimes make you a stronger fighter after losing a fight. You know. So that's why I say Anthony Joshua, he could be a better fighter now after losing to Andy Ruiz the first time around. We'll see, you know, going on out. So, yeah. But hey, man, I'm gonna wrap this up, man, because I couldn't be on here too long because I have to. I want to chop up some things. But hey, good to have you on. I'm sad the other guys couldn't get on. I don't know why, but it's all good though, man. Thanks for coming on, Battle.
Thank you, Dan.
No problem, man.
You gonna make a hangout thing, Dan? If you can hear me.
Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened there, but I'm going to end this out. Shout out to Battle for coming in. Shout out to you guys in the chat. Wing King, I know you came in late. Shizbiz, Mr. Classic Mel, Mr. Boxing Today, my brother. As always, Kurt Sugar, my brother. Kurt Anderson, Kurt Sugar, my brother. Overhand, BG London, Unbiased, EJ Boxing Live. So all you guys that came in early, I really appreciate you guys. So other than that, I'm going to end this. I'm out. Peace.